Welcome back, everyone. The video you're about to watch is part of a live stream series that I do on Twitch where I teach people how to build an Android app from start to finish by building a task management application. I've removed the episode numbers from the videos because it's designed that each one can be consumed individually. Each week, I pick a particular topic or feature and focus on just that for the live stream. If you are interested in watching the full playlist, check out the links in the description below. But if you just found this one and it intrigues you, I hope you enjoy it and let me know what you think. Welcome back, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Thank you all for coming back. I'm showing off my. You can't see it because it's actually behind my desk. Whoa, this autofocus was trippy. Um, but I set up a nice LED strip on the back side of my desk to make my desk glow while I'm working. And it lights up the room pretty well, so you can see that. I mean, why is this auto-focusing? That is not supposed to be happening. Um, Let me see if I can fix that real quick. Um, please hold. Okay, turned off autofocus. Oh god, now I'm not in focus at all. There we go. How does that look? I think I look pretty good there. Um, okay, that's not going to autofocus anymore. Okay, there we go. Um, yes, it's very bluey, but it kind of matches the thing. I guess it's a little too bluey, unless I have a white screen up. But it's fine. We'll try it out. For most of the stream, I'll be off in the corner anyways. You won't even notice me, like this. So even here, I guess I'm still pretty blue. But now I have feel like I have real streamer vibes by having a like colored background behind me. Um, How's everyone doing? I hope everyone had a good week. Hope y'all had a chance to watch the Android show today. Let me drop a link to that in case, or let me find it over here. Um, I did not get a chance to watch the whole thing, but I did basically watch the recap prior to the Q&A. Um, I'll send this. They basically just announced some cool stuff about Jetpack Compose, talked about how, of course, that gives a Twitter link, but I think that should still work out all the same. Um, what did they talk about? They talked about large screens, which was interesting timing after last week's stream when we talked about adaptive layouts with Compose. Um, I think, I don't know, I feel like I'm still living in a bubble where tablets aren't something that I or any of my immediate friends use, but they cited a huge increase in sort of tablet usage over the last couple of years. Um, and talked about all the things the Android team is doing to better support large screens, and it seemed really interesting. It's something I wish I spent more time on. Maybe it can be a priority in these streams. Maybe instead of testing on my phone, like we have here, we could do more testing on a larger emulator, um, which we could definitely do tonight. Um, which begs the question, what are we going to do tonight? And the answer is, I have no idea. Um, because I came in unprepared. But one idea that was suggested to me was animations, which we definitely could do. But I don't really know, with what we have in the app so far, what there is to animate in the first place. Um, but I actually went back to look, and there's a ticket that we put in the project a while ago for wanting to add an animation when the user changes the selected date. So what that means is this screen here, when we hit these arrows, the date at the top changes. Um, and you can see a little flash while there's a loader in there. Um, but we can see the date changes at the top, and it's just kind of like a huge it just changes. And so it would be interesting to see if there was some way to do some sort of animation between the different texts that appear. So that's what I think we'll start to do, and I don't really know how we're going to do it, but that'll be the fun thing that we do tonight. So let's do that real quick. Let's do um, TOA 89, and then we could do title change animation. So I did look a little bit prior to this stream, and also just a note here: if there's something else you'd really like to see tonight, I'm open to doing whatever chat wants. But also in general, if you have ideas of things you'd like to see tonight or in the future, let me know in chat. I like to go ahead and make these GitHub issues for all the things that I want to do on the stream, and then usually each night I kind of just look at what's up here that we haven't done yet and try to pick something to work on. So I'm always happy to hear chat's ideas and exclamation point GitHub in the chat if you want the project repo to look at what's out there. Um, but going with animations for now, I was looking at the composed docs for animations. Let me share that. That talks a little bit about different options we have for animations with Jetpack Compose, and there's a lot. Both in like getting low level animation APIs. Let me zoom out just to show the sidebar over here. There's low level animation APIs to do sort of specific things that you want to do, but there is like these high level animation APIs, which are for, I guess, common animation patterns, as they call it. So things like animating the visibility of an item. So maybe you want it to fade in or out depending on whether or not it's visible. Um, like that's something we could probably do with this empty state, which might look nice. Whoops, that's what I meant. Oh god. Um, or there's what else is in here? There's animated content, which I guess is experimental, but it um, basically animates the content inside of it, and you can specify that animation. So an example here is I showed how this label like looks like it's scrolling up because as the old text goes out, it scrolls one way, and as the new text comes in, it scrolls the other way. I thought that was cool. But getting to the point here, the one that I learned about that I think is relevant to what we're trying to do is called crossfade, which animates between two layouts with a crossfade animation. Now, I'm not actually sure that we can do this because, um, yeah, I guess it's not really crossfade because we're not really doing a when statement here. Um, hmm. Yeah, we're not really doing a when statement here. So even though it seemed like crossfade could work, um, I don't think so. I'd be curious. Let's look at this screen and let's see if we can find the do, do, task list content, um, task list toolbar. Here we go. And then here's where we showed the text. So even if I did wrap a crossfade around here, um, whoops, not crossfades, crossfade. This needs, hmm, what does this need? This needs some target state. I guess so. Let's try out what I was thinking, but I don't think this will work. Um, but we would basically want it to be the title, right? And then if I just put in a text, or whoops, actually, if I put in our text that we added earlier, I don't know, maybe this will work. Let's try it out. Why is Lint yelling at me? I think it's just not caught up. So I don't know if this will work, but let's try it out. Ah, we have to hydrate. Cheers. We can also intoxicate because I decided tonight was a coding and cocktails kind of night. So I took a cocktail making class on Friday. Yeah, Friday. And I had a few leftover supplies, so I saved it, made an extra cocktail for tonight. So cheers. This is now like the third week in a row that we've had a boozy Android dev stream. But okay, so the first problem is that our text is like all the way to the left. Um, And I think that's because, oh yeah, I'm no longer, this weight modifier doesn't really work anymore because I'm no longer inside the crossfade here. So we'll have to think about that. But let's see what happens when I hit this button. Okay, so the text definitely is crossfading. Do y'all see that? It's very subtle. Um, let's go to this one. So you can see the change between tomorrow, today, yesterday. You can see a little bit of a fade there. Um, so this is definitely actually working a little bit. Let's see if we can clean up this code um, to make it actually look nice again. So the first thing is we can put that weight modifier on the crossfade instead. So this crossfade needs to um, basically fill all of the available space. Now, I think even though this is text aligned center, the text itself is still going to be wrap content. So I think on the text, we could do like a fill max width modifier um, on the text here. And let's see how that looks. Um, hopefully it looks good. Okay, so there we are. Okay, that looked like it lagged for a second, but um, there's a nice little crossfade animation there. What do y'all think about this? Is it too slow? Is it like hard to capture in the video? Can I control it? Can I control the speed? Um, crossfade allows to switch between two layouts with a crossfade animation. Okay. Yep. Animation spec defaults to tween. Okay, so on tween, I can give it a duration, which is 300 millis. So just to verify this is working, just to show chat, um, let's set animation spec equals tween, um, and we could say duration millis. I don't want to make it like a second. Let's make it a little slower. Let's do like 500 milliseconds, just to see what this looks like. Um, and that actually knocks this ticket out like really quickly. Also, let me close all my apps here. Um, okay, so now, okay, there you can definitely see it. It's not like as noticeable when it goes between those dates, but definitely between like today and tomorrow, we can see a nice little crossfade there. Um, cool. All right. Yep, nice and simple. So we're gonna get rid of that delay. We're gonna change this back to how it was, and let's get started. Let's record that in our stream history. I still don't know what I'm gonna title this stream. Um, we'll just put question marks in here, because we're still figuring it out. We're still figuring out what the goal of this stream will be. But let's say let's just put we'll just put down our PRs here, and we'll say title change animation. We'll have to build that out. YouTube coming soon. Also, I audited this page with a fine tooth comb. The YouTube playlist, exclamation point YouTube if you're not subscribed to the channel, but the YouTube playlist for TOA is fully up to date, and so is this stream history page as well. I was a little behind, but now all of the resources for the stream are up to date. So that should be helpful. Let's commit this. So this we could say fixes number 8 and 9 by adding crossfade animation to type. Um, and then we will have to figure out what else we want to do. Something I did think about doing is, um, when I put in a task here, like, I don't know, we'll just keep calling it test. Um, well, okay, there's actually two things here. So let me write this down because I keep forgetting to record this, because I don't think it's in here. No, it's not. Um, so this has been an issue for a while. Close keyboard after creating a task. So this has been a bug like for a while. I'm not really sure why it's happening and why it's not default in composed navigation. But when I create a task, you know, I say like watch keyboard. Whoops, that's not it. So when I hit submit here, the keyboard is still visible. I feel like when we navigate away, the keyboard should go away. I'm surprised that's not handled by default, but that is something we should fix. So I'm going to make this a ticket, and maybe that is the next thing that we do. Um, Once we get the pull request going for what we just made, fixes number name 9 by adding classifying animation in. Okay, so this is an enhancement. This can go in the I guess this can go in the home screen project and create pull request. Nice. All right, 20 minutes in, we already did our first pull request tonight, so we're cruising. Let's look at that issue we just created, and let's work on that next. This is 116, so I'm going to go back to development for this one. Actually, no, I'm going to keep this one. And we're going to do TOA 116. We'll say hide keyboard after creating task. So I have done some work in Compose to deal with the keyboard, but I think I'm going to start by checking to see if there is something in if this has been something other people have looked at. So close keyboard when navigating Jetpack Compose. Um, there's just a question here: how do you close a virtual keyboard? Um, so this is what I have done. It's like you can get a reference to the keyboard controller, and then when the user hits an action, um, like an IME action on their keyboard, you could close it. Um, which is something we could do, maybe. Let's check. Do we even have an action? No, we don't. We have this enter a new line here. Um, so I would want to do it on submit. So let's see here. Um, I'm noticing that the way this works is just what kinds of trade-offs am I considering? Um, I don't know what you mean. All I'm trying to do is so right now the if I don't close this keyboard manually on this screen, it stays open. And so I was thinking about different ways I could close the keyboard. But I think it's as simple as this line right here. They get a reference to the keyboard controller. And in this particular Stack Overflow example, they're showing how sometimes their keyboard has a done button and they want to close the keyboard when the user hits the done button. But in any case, I'm thinking they get a reference to the keyboard controller and then they just call the hide method when that happens. And so I think we don't even need to be inside of we don't even need to worry about focus. We could get a reference to this keyboard controller when we click that specific button. So, or when we navigate, as another way we could do it. And maybe I guess they kind of go hand in hand. But let's see where we could do that. So on the add task content screen. Oh, yeah. No, there might be other solutions, but I think this is the way to go. Um, so actually, let's look at the screen itself. Maybe this is where I would put it. Oops, I didn't want that in a new file, a new thing. So, oh right, we added a we created this like add task container. Um, wait, is this how we did it? Right. Um, so last week when we looked at adaptive layouts, one of the things that we looked at was um, the idea of like the add task screen on large devices. And one thing we tried that was a suggestion was on phones when we add a task, we create this full size screen. And on large devices like tablets, we would show it as like a dialogue. And I don't know if the dialogue has the same keyboard issue. Um, so let's not worry about the dialogue. Let's worry about like the full screen version, which is this add task container here. So what we do on this screen is we observe this view state, and then we actually do this check. If view state is completed, then we pop the backstack. So at the same time that we do this, this is where I would want to close the keyboard. So I'm wondering if I could just do local software keyboard controller dot current dot hide. And this is experimental, which is classic, but we'll just opt into that. Why is this yelling at me? Ah, my disposable effect is not inside a composable. So, um, huh. So I can't reference it from inside here. Um, well, I could if I kept like a reference to it. So if I said keyboard controller equals local software keyboard controller dot current, and then here I can do keyboard controller dot hide. Let's try this. Um, okay, let's add a task. Testing, submit. Okay, that that worked. Um, I do wonder, just for sort of experience, I feel like I would like the keyboard to close first. That's like kind of my preference, so I'm gonna rearrange those lines and try it that way. Um, because it felt weird to see it navigate and then the keyboard close. I mean, I guess it's still good, but um, let's try it the other way. Test again. Okay, that was a little more in line with what I would expect. Nice. We're cruising with the small little quality of life updates. So we could say fixes number 116 by hiding keyboard on submit. Ah, and we need to update our stream notes on this. Um, so hide keyboard on task creation. So let's push that. Um, we can once that pushes, we can get a pull request going, and maybe we could think of other little small tasks to work on. Actually, before I make this pull request, let's talk about that dialog flow that I just mentioned and make sure we don't have any issues with that either. So The way that happens is I will tell you how that happens in a moment. Um, inside our task list screen. So inside our task list screen, we have a reference to the window size, which is like basically the screen of, or I guess the size of our activity. And based on that, if it's not compact, which basically means if it's on like a small or large tablet, anything except a phone, we want to navigate to the dialog. So instead of starting up that other emulator, I just want to tell you how that works. But instead of starting up another emulator, I'm just going to write if true to force myself to hit that piece of code, and then I can just test it out on the phone itself. Because it should still work. It's just not like I guess, the user flow that I'm expecting to happen on the phone in this app. But let me show you. So now when I click this button, we have this as a dialog instead. And so here I'm going to say test. Um, okay, and the button does go away when the dialog disappears. So that's not too bad. Um, that means it works. So we can go ahead and get the other pull request rolling. So we'll merge this into our other branch. Same thing. Cruising. We'll call this an enhancement as well. Or this is kind of a bug. Or, well, it's fine. Um, projects. This could be task management. Um, cool. Um, all right. I don't know. I don't know of any other super small fixes like that I had thought of. I did. One was to rethink the copy in the application. So I've talked before about like my goal was to make this a more like sort of wholesome task management application and avoiding a lot of, at least in my experiences, some of the things that make staying organized intimidating. Um, Number one prime example of that idea is the fact that the first title you see after the day is incomplete tasks. And I don't like that. Like, that's just screaming to me, like, here are all the things you need to do, or here are the things you haven't done yet. Like, it just already starts pushing this feeling of, like, guilt and pressure. So, trying to rethink the copy, is there a better way to phrase that? Is there another way to explain this section, but, um, without, like, putting a lot of pressure on it? And maybe something to think about is, these are the tasks that, like the property on a task is called a scheduled date. These are the tasks that I have scheduled for today. So would it make a little more sense to have a section like scheduled tasks? And like, does that sound a little better? Because it's not really saying like, hey, look at all these things you didn't do. It's just like, hey, here's what you have scheduled for today. Um, or we could even be longer and make like a little message that literally says the whole thing. Like, this is what you have scheduled for today, but reschedule if you can't get to it. Something like that. I don't know. Tossing around different ideas. We also, this reschedule button, now that I think about it, doesn't do anything yet. And that is definitely another thing that we could consider working on. Um, I don't know. Any thoughts in chat on like, do we want to comb through the app copy? Do we want to work on rescheduling a task? Um, the question is, what do you want folks to do? Hmm, that is a good question. I mean, I think the idea, right, is what I want is like, I want people to look at this, see a list of things that they have decided they want to do today, and I want them to feel encouraged to go get them done. And I want them to not feel like overwhelmed by what they have to get done, but actually, is there some way that I could provide messaging or present this in a way that, you know, um, that actually entices that? I don't know the answer to that. Maybe I'm sure there's definitely something I could do there. but I think that's kind of what I'm thinking about. Hmm. I also had this idea in a similar vein of having like when you complete a certain number of tasks, like showing you a little thing, like um, ooh, that's an interesting idea. Showing one item on the list instead of all of it at once. Interesting. So having like um so maybe showing like the first card and then maybe below it like would you want to would you want to have the option of seeing all of them? Like maybe we put a little button there that says like see additional tasks or something. Um or we just have a label. Because like one of the things that I think about as like being a small like anxiety inducing thing is like if you keep reminding people exactly how much there is to do. So what I don't want to do is have a label that says like 5 more tasks because I feel like the number makes it more daunting. But I feel like a button to see like, you know, view all or view one or something. Right. Code Guru brings up a good point. Like three, no, or other some other small number. Um, so I did consider as like a more long term idea was what if there was a way, maybe if this was like a full product that had like an onboarding, what if there was a way for the user to specify the number of things they want to get done on any given day? So let's say I decide like I'm really going through it, right? And I just want 2 things every day that I want to be able to check off my list. And I want to tell the app, hey, I have I want to be able to do 2 things every day. And then maybe if I try to add a task, a third task, then it could tell me, you've already reached these 2 tasks. Like, are you really sure you want to add this other one? Or do you want to find another day that you have availability to do it? Like, that would be a more long term solution. Whether or not that's like a feature I could build tonight, I don't really know. Um, but I'm going to record that idea because I think that's something I would like to get to eventually. I don't know what y'all think about that, if that feels like a good idea or not. Um, so, uh, get user preference for number of tasks to schedule in a day. Um, we can use this. The You've made it. Welcome, Matt. We can use this to see how many tasks a user is trying to schedule for a day and provide suggestions for a different day um, if the current one is full. That would be an idea. So let me know your thoughts on that. Cube solve. Okay, cube solve and recap. Okay, let's let's do the recap first. So basically, a recap today was just to fix. So far today, we fixed 2 words. We fixed 2 small bugs that have been bothering me, or not really bugs. So one was an animation, which was your idea. So if you watch the title at the top where it says today, there's a little crossfade animation as we change the title at the top. So that was the first thing we did. And we also fixed when I add a new task, it used to be that the keyboard was always visible. It wasn't going away when we navigate, but now when we navigate, we close the keyboard at the same time. So you go back to the home screen and you can actually see the full screen. So that's all we did today, and then we started talking about what to do next. But the answer to that is a cube solve. So let's get the timer up. I will get a prediction going. Um, I'm gonna set the prediction for like 5 minutes because I'm gonna do a couple warm ups. So um, feel free to take some time to vote. I'm also gonna turn the light on because I've learned that mistake the hard way. Um, yeah, so the prediction should be running. Yes, so y'all can predict your channel points and bet how fast I can do this. So, for those of you who are unsure which way you want to vote, you can watch my wait. What would mean you could win? Um, you can watch my warm up to see how fast I can do this. But my average is 30 seconds. But my best is 20 seconds. So it's up in the air. But let's see. I pretty much only do this on Wednesdays now. Um, so like I just forget to fidget with this throughout the day. But let's see what we can do here. Um, ooh, interesting, interesting. Oh no, oh no. We're good. We're good. I can still do this. This is why we do warm ups, everybody. This is why. All right, 32. That was an interesting warm up. That was a rough warm up, but let's see if we can do better. A couple weeks ago, someone redeemed this, and I did a few warm ups, and I dropped like 5 seconds every time. I think that was the night that I hit 20. Um, let me see if I can. Yeah, so this was the night. So we started. I don't know how well you can read these numbers. We did 41 seconds, 33, 26, and then 20. So I just kept shaving off time. So let's see if I can do the same thing today. Um, no idea if the what the answer to that is. Um, Trying to think of how I want to do this. Sorry. Okay, okay, 27. So we got one under already. Oof. It's gonna be a tough bet tonight. All right, I will do probably one or two more warm-ups before the prediction is up. Um, let's see what we can do here. Ooh. All right, not as fast, but also not my worst. Okay, that wasn't great, but um, okay, I will scramble this one, and then the next one will be the actual solve for the prediction. So if you haven't placed your bets yet, you got 38 seconds to place your bets. Hope everyone's having a good night. Thanks for redeeming this, Prince. Ooh, chat is betting on under tonight. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. This could be under. This could definitely be under. Um, okay. Okay. I think I know how I'm gonna start. Okay, and time is up, so let's do it. Let's see here. Oh, dang. This was close. Oh, I'm sorry, chat. I'm sorry. I know y'all believed in me. Um, pain, pain. Nice. Prince was the one of the few who bet up. I like it. I like it. Good job. Um, all right, let's get this back. Huh. I wonder, let me know if you are one of the people who watches the stream recaps on YouTube, let me know like how obnoxious these are, if they ruin the flow on YouTube or not, because I could definitely edit them out. But I don't take the time to do that. But if you think they break up the flow of the YouTube VODs, let me know. I could definitely cut out the Coop songs. So, hey Illustrator, thanks for coming back. Um, okay, so let's take a look at our pull requests that we made. Um, let's see. Nice. So the crossfade one is done. Ooh, we have a lot of out of date versions. Maybe we could spend some time on that. Um, so we'll close that one, and then the hiding keyboard. Well, that's going to have a merge conflict now, but we can fix that. Um, ooh, let's record these. Um, so the hide keyboard PR was 118. And what is I think 117 is the PR number for the other one. Yes. So 117. So we can have those PRs recorded. Um, I'm doing great. How are you doing? And nice. So now we just got done doing a Rubik's Cube solve. So now we're trying to decide what to do next. Um, and oops, I'm just going to go ahead and merge this because I know this passes. Um, yeah, so all we've done so far is we fixed a couple small bugs that each took us like 10 minutes. Um, we added like a little animation to the title bar at the top, and we closed the keyboard when navigating. So now I'm just trying to decide if we want to keep doing the small, quick tickets, if there's anything, or if we want to consider doing something, um, what's the word? Something more. I actually just noticed something. Why doesn't this do the stretch over scroll? Is it because I'm like just shy of like being, it's like just shy of being too long. Um, Let me add another card. Okay, now it does it. It was weird. My screen was like just the right size that I couldn't scroll at all. That was weird. Um, hmm. So what are we thinking? No one's itching to do anything. Um, we could, after today, I am a little more interested in um, revisiting large screens again. So wondering if there's something better we could do to support large screens. Um, but I don't think so. I think we did most of it last week. This is capturing from a physical device. So I have like I use a tool called Visor, Vysor, right? Yes, and any devices that are connected over USB debugging, it can screen capture them for you. So I do have a tablet, um, but that wouldn't support wireless debugging. So I'd have to find a way to plug that in. Um, I don't know. We could look at I wonder if there are other dev experience work that we could do. Um, we didn't get super far in the multi-module setup, Um, oh, nice. I didn't know Visor. Yes, actually, I did know that Visor worked on iPhones as well. Yeah, so that's really nice. Um, we've done some Compose testing before. Um, I don't know. Let's go look at the GitHub issues, see if there's something. So we could work on that preference idea that I talked about, or at least start to build the um, framework for it. Um, we did this actually. This can be done. Um, not everything got closed out correctly. Allow user to reschedule. So I'll leave this open. I'm going to ignore this cover one because we use Jacoco now. Ooh, we talked about a custom splash screen. I guess we technically did this welcome screen. We have a login screen. Um, so there's one pull request. This is from a long time ago. This is from back in January, where we changed the way one of the flows worked in our use case, but my tests were failing and I never quite got around to fixing it. Um, we could come back to it, but let's do it. Let's come back to this one, and we can talk about why. Let's get this pull request closed. So we're going to completely change gears and revisit an old branch, which will is always fun. But let let me show y'all what that was. I'll give you the background on that pull request, and then we'll fix it. That's a good thing to do. So the first thing I want to show you is we have get get tasks for date use case. And what this does is this takes in a date that we want to request tasks for, and whether or not we want to fetch the completed tasks, or rather, like, return tasks that are either completed or are not completed. Um, and that's how we decide what to show on the home screen, right? We have it in those two sections. And so that creates a flow. And the way this works is inside our task list view model. It's actually kind of a lot. Like, so we have basically these two functions, one to observe the incomplete tasks for the current date, and one to observe the completed tasks for the current date. And then we have like these special functions that will map them based on which flow we're dealing with, maps them to like our current view state, right? And it's just a lot to have that code duplicated twice, like to observe two different flows. So we changed that, and let me check out the branch, and then I'll show you um, what the new code looks like. So on the task list view model, it becomes a lot easier um, because what we do is, do I? Okay, well, this is one thing. This is already something I noticed wrong. Completed tasks should be nulled out here. Okay, but here's what happens in this new branch that we're trying to solve. Okay, we have our view state, and we map it to the selected date to figure out what is the current date on the task list screen. And then we flat map that, where we take that date that is selected, we update our view state to show the loading state, and we null out our current task list. And then what we do is we call get tasks for date use case with that selected date. That will retrieve all of the tasks that we have. And then on each result, we will then update our view state accordingly. So the way we do that is we have this list of tasks and we call partition, where we ourselves partition the completed and incompleted tasks. And then we assign them to the view state accordingly. So how does the use case work now? Well, the use case will always pull both, but the repository, which has the completed and incompleted flows, it will basically create a flow for each. and then we use this combined transform. So every time one or the other emits, we will combine those results and pass them off to the view model. And then the view model will then partition them again. So it's basically the same flow, but I guess it's a little cleaner in that the view model is just observing from the use case, and the use case is doing um, the dirty work of observing two different flows and then combining that data for the screen that needs it. So you might be asking, why haven't we merged this? Well, I'm pretty sure it's because this broke some tests, and I didn't know until after the stream where we did this, and I never got around to fixing the test. But it stayed in the pull request thing forever. So I hope that was a good recap. It might have been a little fast, but what we're going to do is I'm going to run the test command. We're going to see if any tests are failing, and then if they are, we're going to fix them here and now, and then we can close out um, this PR finally. So how's everyone doing? Classic waiting for Gradle to build stuff. Um, I also think now that we do have more modules, I should actually be smarter and tell it to run app test because that's the one that I care about. I think by default then it'll try to run the test command against each module. Um, so that's fine for now, but I'll fix that moving forward. Um, but also, thank you, Code Guru, for the question. I should probably I know a lot of people ask me about my stream setup, and I have like a list of the hardware and software that I use, and I don't think I ever added Visor to that, so I'm gonna have to go add that. Um, this also might be taking longer to build because this branch is so old, so it's entirely possible that we had some sync issues here, but bear with me. We will get it working. I can actually check. Will it work? So the last time it ran, yeah, I had a comparison failure on tests. And here's why it's so. What I can tell you ahead of time before this runs, why the tests were a little tricky, is because I think it's an issue with how my test fakes are set up. And that, I think the test fake was basically saying, when I call for this date, regardless of the completed status, return these tests. But because I'm partitioning, it's like just the basically the mock data and what actually gets parsed are not consistent with each other, um, and that's it. That's what I got to figure out. So one of the um, yeah, definitely check it out. I heard that you used to stream, so if I remember right, Code Guru, you're part of the Android chat on Stack Overflow. And when I started streaming, someone told me you had done it first, and I had followed your channel, but I never got a chance to catch you live. But if you ever get back into it, let me know. I'd love to come by and see some of the stuff that you're working on. Um, are you? I could be way off or way right, but you were the one who built the baseball card tracker app. Is that still something you maintain? How is that going? But we're going to go while we wait on me to go back down memory lane here. I'm going to go into task list view bottle test, and we're going to look at successful load. And we're going to revisit. So let's dig down into our mock. We've released two updates in the last year. That's awesome. Let's dig down first into our mocks that we talked about. So we have a fake task repository. Ooh, screen copy is cool. I used to use screen copy and then I stopped using it because, well, I upgraded to Android 12 really early, like when it was in beta, and screen copy didn't support Android 12, which I'm pretty sure it does now, but I just hadn't gotten up to it. Yes, so view model tests are failing. And what's happening, to be more specific, um, is like there's a comparison failure. If we look at it was on line 38. So basically, we have the expected view state. So I'm expecting in this example that our incomplete tasks show this task list, our completed tasks are empty, and the show loading is false. Um, and it's not because of the init block. Um, it has to do with like, so let's run this and let's look at the actual, um, because this test passed before this PR. So it's actually a good test. It shows me that the code I wrote, well, I guess it broke my test. So maybe the test was wrong. And I think the test was wrong because of the way the mocks work. So let me go back through that and see if I can explain why this would be weird. So we have this fake task repository, right? And we have this mock call that mocks the tasks for date. And so you may notice here, it only mocks for the specific date, but it says for any Boolean, completed or not. Oh, I got to recap. Oh man, I feel like I've been talking too long. So we started the stream, we fixed a couple small bugs. I can show you those when I get the app back up. But right now, what we're in the middle of doing is we are fixing this stale branch from the stream back on January 26th. Um, where we use this, we change the way flows work. Now, Nightbot doesn't tell you; it's a way to get my attention. Um, in case I miss like your message, I see like Nightbot come through and it catches my attention. Um, so we're fixing the stale branch, right? And it's because we changed the way the flows worked inside of our fetch tasks use case. But I was just getting into how the test broke. So to recap again, just to show it side by side. So our use case, this is really cool to see next to each other. Our use case gets two flows. It fetches the task from our repository where completed equals false, and it fetches where completed equals true. If we look at our fake, we can set a mock result for a given date, and then we basically say when we call fetch task for date, for that date, but any Boolean, return this. So what's happening in principle is that two lists are returned inside our test because the call is made twice and this mock applies to both of them. So I get two items returned inside my test case. And so that's why the comparison doesn't work, because my comparison is expecting sort of one item, if that makes sense. So really, this should be updated to be more specific, to say, like, this should record whether or not we want to mock the completed tasks or not. And then we could say, when we call with date and with this completed property, we would return this. So now, if I go to the view model, the robot, this is where I should do this. We could change this to like mock completed tasks for date. And then we could put something in here like we can automatically pass in the um sorry, the parameter of true. And then we could basically take the same mock here and say, mock incomplete tasks for date, and then here we say completed as false. So now we're mocking more appropriately what we expect to be returned. So if I go back to our view model here, so let's look at successful load. This is an incomplete task. And this is an incomplete task list. And I'm just going to keep renaming this to be more specific. Incomplete task response. So for a test robot, we want to call mock incomplete task for date. So for today, return that mock data, and this is our expected view state. Um, I think that this test should return um, one of each so that I can verify the partition works correctly. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to say our completed task will just be incomplete task.copy, completed equals true. And we can have a completed task list being list of completed task. And then we can have a completed task response being result.success, completed task list. Um, and we should mock that too. Mock completed task for date. Date being today, result being our completed task response. And verify this. This way we can have our test verify that the partition code works correctly and we see them in two separate lists. But what else failed? Um, so here, this is actually, we can just specify, for this one, we're just testing the date changes accordingly, but we could just mark this to be more specific. This could be a completed task. Um, I just want to make sure these names are more specific. So completed task list result. This should change where I guess so. I guess that was the other way. That's fine. Um, but that's our expected view state at the end of this. Okay. Here, this is, so this one, I'm going to keep the thing the same. I'm just going to rename this to incomplete. Um, and let's rename this again, just in the interest of being explicit, incomplete task list, and incomplete task list result. Um, so now, and the key thing to note in all that is that this mock method is now specific to which type of task am I mocking. Now this might, ooh, so this might give me another issue because if I don't mock both, I think it will fail. Um, that might be a thing. So let's run this though, and let's see if these tests pass or fail, and then we can go from there. Um, but I think this will fail and tell me that when it tries to fetch the, yep. So this will tell me that no answer was found for when it fetches for the other values. So in this task, here we mock the completed tasks, but it's saying no answer found when it fetches the incomplete task for that date. So what I can do for this example, um, I wonder if I should. Well, I guess just for this one, so we could do for today, we can say result being empty list. I can just this will make the test happy. Um, and then we need to do the same thing for yesterday because this is one that changes dates. Um, so the same thing here. So we mock the incomplete tasks. I could use relax true. Would that work here? Um, would it just return? Maybe that's it. Maybe that's all I need. Um, well, I'll leave that one. Let me try that. Actually, that's a good point. So I typically avoid relaxed because it's because it is a way of like hiding behavior. And I get for not every test, I don't want to test everything, right? So it's fine that like sometimes I don't care about the return value or I don't pass in like the explicit parameters, but I think in general I want to be explicit, so I make sure that every case is covered correctly. Hey Teal Shark, thank you for lurking and coming by. I hope you're having a great night. Um, Here I got an exception handler issue. Um, I think because relaxed doesn't work in this case. I think that only works well if you have. Wait, this is yelling at me because I didn't use the main dispatcher? I should be. What was this trying to do? Okay, we're not going to use relaxed. I'm not going to read deep into that stack trace when I know that this mock should fix everything. So let's do the same thing for next date. We just need to basically let's um wait, is this right? Here I want to I'm just looking at okay, that's fine. So for this one, I'm going to take the same things. We're going to mock completed task for date on both of these, and they're going to return empty lists for both of them. And here we'll just do the same thing. We'll pass that failure result. We should get the same value. So now let's run this again. I think we've made our tests happy. I will want to run this again though for the whole suite of tests in our app module to make sure I didn't break any. But this should get us most of the way there. Yeah, I could have mocked where I initialized. Maybe that's what I should have done. But I still think, oh, here we go. Okay. They still failed? Why did this fail? Exception thread test worker. I don't know what that means. I don't think that has to do with. I think that's because my test failed. Because there's. I think the real issue here is another assertion error. Why? Um, hey, Money, thanks for coming back. Um, we have an incomplete task. We're saying mock incomplete tasks for date. So incomplete task for today is an empty list, but incomplete task for tomorrow is that incomplete task list. Completed task is just an empty list each time. Is it my fake that's not working right? It's weird. It's weird that the successful load one worked. Oh, is it maybe um okay, well now I'm wondering if we have a different issue here. Um there could be some issue Um, maybe, I don't know. Let's run this again. And maybe we need to look at this stack trace a little more clearly. Um, yeah, that's one way to look at it. Here's another part in why this test is maybe not the best. If I were to go like high level again and explain why these tests are bad. So these are like this is more like a full integration test. If we look at our like test robot here, so we're using an actual use case implementation here when maybe what I should do instead is mock the use case. And instead of having to try to figure out this sort of dealing with this combined transform situation, I could just mock the use case itself. Um, and that would make this test a lot cleaner. And then we would have like our view model would have like be more of a like specific, what's the word? An actual unit test rather than trying to be like an integration test. So maybe that's something I could look at to make this a little easier. So um, let's go into our fakes folder. Do I have? Oh, that's not a use case we use anymore. Let's make a new fake here. And let's do a fake get tasks for date use case. Um, yeah, I think this would be better than trying to mock two layers up from the class that I'm actually dealing with. And also, some of you may have heard me say before, even though I used Mach K in the last example, I'm kind of moving away from that because I just find that it causes me slightly more problems than I usually need. Um, so let's create like a private map of results for date map. And this will be mutable map of local date to flow path list result. And this will be an empty map to start. And then we can expose a public function, say mock tasks, mock result for date. We can get a date. We can get a result. And then here we can say results for date map for that date equals that result. And then when our fake use case gets invoked, we can say return result for date map update, and then force that to be there. So this is what we're going to use. We're going to use a fake use case instead of trying to mock the data layer that we had done previously. So then also in here, let's do fake get tasks for date use case. And we can pass that in here. Oh, I guess I do still need my fake task repository for the completed thing. That's fine. We'll keep it for that. But here, let's change those mock functions. And let's go back to mock test for date. Um, do local date. Um, and then yeah, we'll put a result here. And let's be apply. And here we can do basically pass that through. Fake get task for date use case, mock results for date. let's change this to be a little more clear. Mock task result for date. Um, okay, this should work a little nicer, but we're gonna have to update all of our tests now. So that's fine. So here, um, let's redo this. So let's say we have our incomplete task. We can have a completed task for this test as well. So let me recap again because I might be losing some people. So we're fixing our successful load test. So let's revisit this from the top. Our input data is going to be some incomplete task, but then let's also add a completed task um, that is just the same thing, but we'll copy it and we'll swap that completed flag to true. So our task list is going to be list of incomplete task and completed task. And then our task list result will be result.success with the task list. So we want to mock task for date. The date will be today. The result, we're just going to do a flow of task list result. We'll return, a flow that just emits once with that result. So our expected view state will be the incomplete tasks should be a list of incomplete tasks. Our completed tasks will be a list of completed tasks. And show loading being false. That is what we expect to happen. So now let's talk about click previous state. So I think this would be helpful to, again, revisit this from the top here. So I'm going to take that same input and actually, do I care? Okay, let's rethink this as far as what we actually want to test. So what our successful load test does is this verifies that when we initialize the view model, we can get a successful list of tasks, and specifically by verifying each of these properties, we verify that it works, that we can partition the completed and incompleted tasks. So this test effectively tests our data layer. So what do I actually want to happen in these click previous state and click next state tests? Well, what I want to do is I basically want to on the view state. So we have today, right, which is local date now, and we have tomorrow being local date now, and so our expected view state would be a task list view state, where the scheduled date or the selected date equals tomorrow. So what I need to do is write a test that creates the view model, clicks this button, and verifies that our selected date has been modified. So in order to do that is because so we can do that like this. We could do testrobot.build view model click next date, click previous date for this test. Oops. That's actually so okay, let's clarify. This is previous date, so we want yesterday, and this would be minus days 1. Okay. So we could say test robot, build the view model, click previous date button, and then we could say assert view state being expected view state. But because of the way our view model works, where we fetch that data on initialization, I need to mock it. But for this test, I really don't care about the data response because it's not what I'm trying to validate in this test. So let's just do mock task list result for date. Let's do for today, return that, result being flow of task result dot success. And we can just return the empty list. But then we need to do the same thing for tomorrow, because when I change the date in the view model, it's going to trigger, or for yesterday, sorry, it's going to trigger um, the data request again. So these mocks are necessary, but this is the real assertion that we care about. So hopefully that passes. And we're going to take that same idea that we just made, and we're going to put that next date, except yes, we'll change this to be yesterday or tomorrow, and this is add days or plus days. And our failure load, so here, um, mock task list result for date here, we could just say flow of task result, and we verify the error behavior. So let's go up and let's run these tests. And hopefully I have fixed it. Now, that means that I'm going to lose test coverage for this use case, but that's fine. Maybe the test coverage for this use case should happen um, in its own file. Okay, we got close. Um, oh, this is my fault. So the view state, the lists are nullable. I want to make sure they are empty in this case. Uh, so that was an assertion error. That's my fault. So we're just going to make those lists empty in our expected view states. This is why I drink. Cheers. Okay, and we were close. But in next state, it says it's still loading. Why? Oh, because I didn't change this line to click next day button. I should have done that where I like just deleted the tests and rewrote them from scratch from the beginning because I just got myself so confused. So thank you to everyone who bared with me through all that. Um, our view model tests are now passing. So let's run um, app test. Well, we can commit this code real quick. Um, fixing testless view model test. But let's run the app test to make sure everything else is still working. I probably lost everybody who was watching, but if you're still here, thank you, and let me know if I can revisit any of that. Um, I guess I should also run the app to make sure it still works the way I expect, but I think the answer to that is yes. Um, but that's definitely something that we should be positive about. All right. I really did. When I get into it, when I know what I'm talking about, I can run through it pretty quickly. Um, wait, did I lose wireless debug? Oh no, I didn't. Um, think we're going to be okay. The other thing we need to do though is cool. So we fixed it, but we also have we have a lot of merge conflicts. Um, that's unfortunate that you um, have it, but feel free to reach out to me anytime if you need help with Kotlin. I'd be happy to do that. Um, I guess Java, but maybe something else. Um, I'm surprised. I feel definitely biased that a lot of people I know have switched over to Kotlin, but I know that it's still oh, wait, so do you not do Android full time? Um Maybe that was an assumption I made, but I guess that's definitely an assumption. Um Ruby is Ruby is interesting. I actually learned it in like it was a language I played around with in college. A lot of programming languages are fun. I mean, it's all the same thing, just in different flavors, right? I think like yeah, you might look at it and it's hard to read, but like what we do is pretty similar in most languages. Um, I'm going to. Ooh, I can't. The web tool won't let me resolve the. I will once I know these tests are passing, we'll resolve the merge conflicts here inside our code base. Oops, let me just check my messages here while that's running. Make sure I'm not missing anything important. God, I have so many. Okay, we're good. Um, I think, whoops. I think trying to run the APK while also having this Gradle task run screwed up Android Studio. Oh, I missed this. Jumping from Python, Django to Ruby on Rails has been pretty smooth for the most part. Every once in a while, my assumptions from Python bite me in the ass. Yeah, I've heard of pitfalls like that before. Um, okay, this looks like it failed from a timeout thing on my side, so I'm not going to worry about those tests failing. Um, let's see. Let's wait for the app install to work. Nice. Um, okay. So actually, this looks good. I see both tasks in the screen. Um, so I'm pretty. Oh, okay. This is an old task that does not have the empty state, but that's fine. We know this is an old branch. So let's do git merge development. Um, and then what we can do is wait for this. We can go to git resolve conflicts, and we can look at these. So wait, did I delete fake task repository on development? Um, okay, this will lead to some interesting merge conflicts. Um, but let's see here. So for this one, um, let's merge what we can. So, whoops. So I mostly want what's on the right here. But the problem being, oh, well, the imports changed. Oh man, I changed a lot since this other branch. So one thing is our repository now takes date milliseconds. So let's get those date millis and then pass those into our repository method. Sorry, I'm talking kind of fast because I don't know how to join together tonight and 3 months ago. Um, this is the downfall of trying to merge a 2 month old branch on stream. But I basically use the use case that we just talked about where we observed two flows. But something that has changed in the last 2 months is instead of passing the actual date to the repository, we pass the milliseconds, the epoch milliseconds of that date. So I had to do a little bit to resolve that as a conflict. Um, wait, are there? Is that not? Oh, apply. Um, our stream history might have some conflicts, but I actually don't think there's much here. Oh, well, there's everything I missed in between. Um, but here we want to add combining flows, and this is pull request 95. So our stream history file is up to date now. Let's see what changed here. Um, Oh, um, let's do all of this. Hold on. There's that. That needs to be imported. Um, oh, that changed a little bit. This is fine. Uh, that should still be fine. We're going to use that use case mock. And then, um, okay, I think those conflicts are resolved. And the viewModel test is going to have conflicts, but I'm probably going to default to using um, what we did tonight. Oh, it might just change because here, whoops, up here, nope, is that? Oh, no, I think we're good. Wow, okay, so we merged everything. So let's do another uh, run our test to make sure everything still passed. And that was probably the least painful 2 month merge of my entire life. That was something. Um, I'm going to applaud myself for that. I'm really impressed that I did that. Um, I think that says something about the app that we've built together, and that there's some decent architecture here. That even after 2 months, our code was not that difficult to piece back together. So, God, this is so good. So the cocktail making class I took on Friday, this is what I'll talk through while I wait for Grill to build. It was a gift from my fiance. It was like a Christmas gift that we finally came around. It was a magic and mixology class. So we started by, fine, I'll drink water. We started by making a cocktail, and then it was followed up with basically a magic show over Zoom, which was really impressive. And I've actually seen two virtual magic shows since the pandemic started, and they're a lot of fun. They both find interesting ways to engage the audience, as well as just being able to do really cool visual effects within such a small window. Um, we've got some import statements we need to fix because our task list result definition moved. Um, think I fixed them? Let's run this again. So we're just going to have to run these tests a couple times until we fix everything, but we will get there. That's a fake task repository, so that needs to use like our new class. Oh, I remember why we deleted that now. We made our own fake task repository. It's inside this task API test module. It was when we pulled out the task API logic into its own module. Cool. So it compiled because now I can see number of tests completed here. So now fingers crossed that all of our use cases or all of our actual tests succeed. Have I started using it for my own needs yet? No, and I really should. Um, for no other reason than I just have yet to get myself organized. But I really should. And that would be an easy way for me to be like, here is what works and what doesn't for me. Um, so maybe I will try doing that. Maybe tomorrow morning I'll put down everything I need to do for the day um, and let y'all know how it goes. Facts. That's where I'm at, Matt. Like, that's exactly where I'm at. Like I'm um first one, add it. Okay, okay. Get organized. There. I mean, wait, if I'm supposed to get organized and then I added the task, am I done? Like, can I just mark this as done? Is that how this works? I think that checks out. I think I can mark that as done. um, okay, so there's our behemoth of merge fixes. Um, but I will wait to merge this pull request until I know that that I see all the GitHub Actions workflows pass. But all right, it'll be nice to have that out of the way after 2 months. Did I watch the Apple event? Did you mean to say Apple event? Because I didn't know there was an Apple event. Um, but if you meant the Android event, then I watched portions of it. Oh, what was the Apple event? Ooh, I don't even have an old M1 chip. This is bullshit. Oh, 76 files committed. Ooh. Um, why wouldn't they just call it the M2? It's two M1 max glued together. Sounds like it's M2. But I don't. That put me in charge of marketing, Apple. I think you're losing it. Okay, so that pushed. So this is now running again. Let's look at files changed and make sure this PR still looks good. Um, yep. Oh god. So there's that. That's our update to the use case. Our update to the use case. Our update to the view model. Our fake use case. Our robot updates and our test updates. So this PR looks good. Our app still looks good. I now see the empty states. I can add a task. Okay, I think we're good. Wait a minute. Okay, that was right. You know what would be interesting? So here's where my brain just went right there, which I don't know if this makes sense. So right now, we're on like the main screen, you know? Oh, hey, I made a task for March 16th. We're on the main screen, but I'm all the way over on like March 17th. And I press back and it closes, which is to be expected. But I think briefly my brain was like, I almost expected it to go back to today. The way that, like, if you have an app with a bottom nav and you press back on, like, when you're on the bottom nav, or when you're not on the, like, main screen, you press back and it takes you to the main screen. And so it kind of made me wonder, like, what if my back press, if, like, I'm not on today, like, if I back press, what if it took me to today? And, like, does that make sense? I don't know. Maybe not. But it brings up another point as we're thinking of tasks that we should record here, is maybe we should give the users an easier way. Whoop, let's turn off auto rotate. Give users an easier way to navigate the dates in this app. Right, like maybe we have a go to today button, or like maybe we click on dates and we see like a date picker. And from the date picker, we change the selected date. And that's actually probably not a lot of work. Um, I might do that. I might do that. Let's do that. Let's record the issue first, and we'll say allow, so show date picker, show date picker on home screen and wait, I don't know. Show date picker to provide easier way to navigate selected date on task list. This is such a long title, but whatever. Um, this can go in the, I guess, the home screen project. Let's do this. And I say that this won't be a ton of work because we already have a date picker implementation in our app over here on the add task screen. So we can leverage that existing date picker behavior um, to show like one on the home screen. So first I'm going to check out development real quick. Okay, pull, make sure I'm up to date. I am. And we're going to check out 120 as a new branch, and we'll say date picker on task list. Cool. So, let's look at how this one works, just so that we are clear. So if we look at add task content, let's close all these other tabs real quick. I closed the one I wanted. God dang it. Add task content. So there's this inputs column. Um, oh, it's inside this TOA date picker. So many layers here. So our composable keeps track of a dialog state, and we have this material dialog, which has the dialog state. It has the buttons, and it shows the date picker. The initial date being the date picker value, and then on date change we have this callback for when there's a new date. What I'm noticing is so we set the box of the date picker clickable, and when a click happens, we call dialog state.onShow. Okay, we can do this. So, one thing I'm going to do, this piece of code right here, this tracking the dialog state and showing like a date picker, um, is going to be the same behavior. Whoops, sorry, one second. Um, on the home screen. So let's go to task list content real quick. And specifically, we're going to dig, actually, it's right here. We have this crossfade section where we have like some text. And I was going to make it so that um, when the user clicks on that, anywhere in this section, that is what would trigger the dialog. So, where do I want to put it? Let's put it here at the top of the toolbar. Um, we're going to need. Do I want it triggered from the toolbar? Okay, so what I just paused to think about was, do I want to put the date picker inside this toolbar composable where it's very tightly coupled to the toolbar, or do I maybe want to expose from the toolbar something like on title clicked, and then further up the chain, I can keep track of what to do when the title is clicked. Um, I think I might do that. I think I'm going to do that. So let's pull this dialog code out of here. And inside this crossfade, um, where we set the modifier, let's do clickable here. And we can say on title clicked dot invoke. Okay, and then so that would go inside this top bar section here, which I guess it's still Is this still where I want it? Is this any better? I think so. I want to put it in here. So the value would be view state dot selected date, and on date changed. Um, I guess I would need to expose a new function here called like on date selected, which would take a local date and it would be a unit function. And so here we would do on date selected. So um, cosine question: passing on title clicked versus creating a lambda that invokes on title clicked. Um, which one do y'all prefer? Interesting question. I'm not 100% sure what you mean. Oh, so do you mean that as opposed to this idea right here? Whoa, that was not that. None of that was correct. So you're saying passing it as a param versus this like trailing lambda thing? Is that the question? I just want to make sure that's the question. Then I'll tell you my opinion on that. Using modifier not clickable. Ah, I see. So okay, I understand. Let me go into it. So I know exactly what you're saying. I know the alternative. Okay, so here we called modifier not clickable, and nope, I know exactly what the question is. I'll tell you because I've done this two different ways. So where we call dot clickable, here's a lambda that inside calls on title clicked dot invoke. What I could have done differently is the clickable takes on click as a parameter, and then I could just give it the same lambda that was passed in to do something like this. I think that's the question. Do I prefer this versus the lambda that I just had? Um, that's a good question. Actually, having done this, I would say that like I kind of prefer this. Um, in the example that I guess a lot of these code style decisions to me are contextual. So for the first question about the trailing lambdas, I typically avoid them. Uh, but it depends. I guess it all varies based on like what is the trailing lambda doing. Um, but so for this one, I'm trying to think of how I would answer this one. The reason I like this is because then I don't need to do like the invoke thing. Like I have a lambda being passed in, like this just reads nicer to me to reference that. I think the situation where I would use like a trailing lambda here is maybe if I wasn't proxying the call through, like if I was instead just doing something like, you know, do I have Timber in here? I don't. But if I was doing something like, this was clicked, then I would probably just use like the trailing lambda there. But you're right, if I'm passing something in, um, I would probably do that. The type of onClick is a function type that is just like no params to unit. I don't know if you can read that. It's this. Um, yeah, so someone asked me this question a while ago, but a related question on instead around trailing lambdas. Like, how do I feel about this? Because the last parameter on title clicked is a function parameter, you can do a trailing lambda like this. And I got asked the question of like, plus the trailing lambda, you create an anonymous class instance. Yeah, that's a good point. Um, an extra class instance for no reason, right? Yeah. Um, so it sounds like in general how I feel about these and if I like them. And my answer is largely like it depends on the function call. So in this case right here, where I have a task list toolbar, I do not like using this because it's not clear at all what this function does. Like this trailing lambda, there is nothing to tell me that this is triggered when the title is clicked. Like nothing. Um, so here, I would not do that. Now it's fine if you don't want to like pass it through and instead you do it here. This is fine. Um, but my exception to this trailing lambda rule is for functions where like the parameter there's only like one parameter or at the very least it's very clear what it is. So if I had like list of dot filter like um yeah, sorry, let me just make this happy. Like if I was doing filter, I'm going to use the trailing lambda on filter because it's kind of clear like I'm now entering this filter block. That's kind of my opinion. But if the function call doesn't make it clear what that trailing lambda is doing, then I don't like it. So that is just kind of my quick thoughts on that. Um, okay, but this is actually exactly what I want. And on title clicked here, going back. Now I want to do dialog state.show. Um, and whoops, why are we, oh, this is going to yell at me down here because I need to um, just handle that. So we could run this. I don't think this will work actually because um, we're going to have to update the screen now that we've added this new parameter. Uh, yeah, here. So we need on date selected. So the view model doesn't expose a function for getting a new date, so we're going to add one on date selected. So let's go in here. Um, on date selected, this will have a new date, which will be a local date. And then here we can do view state.value equals view state.value.copy. Selected date is new date. And now let's run this. Okay, cool. So if I click this, ooh, I'm just noticing the ripple effect, which is like fine, but honestly not great. But I think I know what we could. I think we could do something about that. But anyways, the date picker does show up, so let's change that to like March 16th, and that's the new date. Um, the date picker doesn't give me the date picker dialog doesn't have like a today button. That would be kind of cool, but I could just find today's date in the date picker. I like this. This was a great idea. Who? I think this was Matt. And Matt said go to today button, and that sent me down this rabbit hole of a similar solution. This was a great idea. Um, cool. Let's commit this. Um, we can say showing date picker when user clicks title. We're going to need to update our stream history file. Let's not forget to do that. Um, do, 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 do. Here we can say show date picker on title click. I am with the really long names here. What did we do tonight? What do we want to title this stream? I just kind of like drinking cocktails and cocktails and coding. I don't know. Um, I'm just gonna leave the question marks there. I got nothing right now. Um, but let's also let's think about this ripple effect here. Because that really bothers me. So, well, there's a couple things that bother me. So this is definitely cool, but it's not obvious to the user that this is a thing. I don't like these sort of like difficult to discover functionalities like this. But my biggest thing being, uh, ooh, our build failed. Oh no, this is a long method. Um, oh, that makes sense because I made this top bar so long. Um, let's put that into its own composable then to split this up, and we'll call this toolbar with dialog, toolbar and dialog, something. Whoops. Um, okay, cleaning up long method. Ooh, how is a push able to fail on build failure? Great question. So this project leverages Git hooks, which a Git hook is basically a bash script that is triggered on some sort of Git action. So you could have like pre-commit, post-commit, pre-push, post-push. There's some other ones. I have a pre-push hook that runs all of my static analysis checks for me. So it prevents me from pushing to GitHub if I do not meet certain all of my static analysis checks. In that case, I ran really quickly. What the issue was, where was it? Um, I have a check for long method. So this 63 out of 60, what this is telling me is that through my detect static analysis checks, methods cannot exceed a length of 60 lines. So, because otherwise they just become difficult to maintain, right? So this one's telling me this was too long. My method was 63 lines. So I knew it was exactly because of this top bar. So I pulled that out into its own thing. So I definitely like that because one thing I pride myself on, if I can toot my own horn a little bit, is making my composables very easy to read because I break everything down into individual functions. Like a screen where I'm really happy with this is like if we look at add task content real quick, if you'll humor me. So we have this inputs column, which is like all of this stuff on the screen. And rather than make this like really hard to read with each thing, um, I put like an explanation of the item. So I can see here I have a column. It's the description label and the description input, the date label and the date input. And then if submission error, we show an error message, then some vertical spacer, and then the submit button. If I didn't put these into their own private functions, this would be so bloated, so nested, it would be very difficult to maintain. This is like my number one tip for dealing with Compose. Um, Yes, I do static analysis on each push. So the commit will do an auto format, actually. So if I had like a bunch of extra spaces and I tried to make a commit here, it would run a formatting process for me. Um, but the actual check that would, but it would still allow you to commit because let's say like I have something that I know is wrong, but I want to switch to another branch. I don't fail on commit, so I can commit my changes and I can move on. But it prevents me from pushing to remote and triggering all those workflows if I know those workflows are going to fail. So that's why I do the static analysis check there on the pre-push. Yeah. So, and if you're curious on how those work, if you go to the GitHub project and you go to the Git hooks folder, you can see the scripts there. So when I pre-commit, this gets all of the changed files and then it runs K2lint format over those changed files. Um, that's okay. I'm pretty noob too. I know what these two do. And it's actually pretty cool. I have a whole thing set up that it installs these GitHooks automatically. So if anyone were to clone this project, all you have to do is run Gradle clean, and then you will have the GitHooks installed on your machine as well. Um, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so this one we're going to say fixes number 120 by adding date picker to task list screen. Labels. I also have similar checks against my pull requests, by the way, through a tool called Danger. So if you're wondering why I write C title in my description, it's because I'm being lazy, but I have a pull request check that ensures that the description is not empty. So I have to put something there. And in this case, because the change is so small, I just put C title. But typically, it forces me to write like a longer pull request description so that I actually have like valuable information in there. Um, cool. So that was a good stream. Thank you all for coming by. I'm wondering if I should do more. But I'm thinking it's 9:30. It's been a 2-hour stream. We did a lot of small things. I think we can call it. Or maybe let's spend a little bit of time, like maybe like 5 minutes or so, thinking about this ripple effect. Because I'm more bothered. I'm not really bothered by the abrupt edges of this, but more the height. The fact that it doesn't like go down all the way here. So I'm trying to think about how we could fix that. Um, let's look at the toolbar again. Um, and see. So the toolbar, it has this fixed height, 84 dips. Um, so we have the icon button. Ooh, actually this, so I just caught this. This should be using the toolbar height um, for consistency. So I can change it in one spot. And maybe that's the same thing. This text, um, or rather the crossfade, um, what's the word? So I'm wondering if I made the height of the text the same as the toolbar, will that just do what I want? And the answer might be yes. Let's find out. And if this works, we can wrap up soon. Okay, well, that's well, okay. So that kind of got us where I wanted, but now the text is too high. So I'm surprised the center. I'm surprised the centering doesn't center it vertically as well. Um, I'm just checking to see if there's um, a thing here. No. Um, I wonder, hold on. So maybe I put the height on the crossfade instead. Um, let me try that. And that might be all I need. But then I'm worried about the text not sitting correctly inside the crossfade. Um, yeah, I have the same problem if I do this. But I might be able to fix it. So let's look at crossfade. What goes inside of here? Literally nothing. Um, so what would happen if I put, so we have the crossfade and we have gave that a fixed height. So this is where you see the ripple now. This is the size of our crossfade here. Um, so what I could do is I could put like a box that fills that space. And then I could put the text inside there. Whoops. Sorry, hold on. Ah, I don't know how to do this. And then I could do center. This is kind of hacky. This feels kind of hacky, but I think it could work. Is that correct? Yes, this looks correct. And so now when I tap on it, this is the ripple I get. What do you think? Is this ripple better? Does it bother you? Now I'm wondering if it bothers me that the ripple goes all the way down to the bottom, as opposed to the ripple being the same size as the icons. Um, so I wonder. So icons, they set like a I was trying to check. I thought icons had like a default padding. Oh, icon button has like a default padding on it, and I want to see what that is. Or do they not? I thought they did. Um, just one more thing I want to try as like a lucky guess is if I put so I use the box because I don't necessarily know exactly how much padding I need, right? Um, if I want to change the size of my toolbar, I can by using the box, if I want to change the size of my toolbar, I can change this one line and everything will still be aligned correctly. Um, so I actually think this is pretty good. What I was gonna try is just for kicks and giggles, is doing something like padding vertical being 16 dips. Is that 24? Let's try 16. I just want to see what this looks like. This will be a little bit of guess and check here. Okay. And now the this is more aligned with like the top and bottom of the buttons. So I think I like that. What do you think? How do y'all feel about this ripple? Is this better? Should I like round it or something like that? I don't think we need rounded corners, but that would be easy to do if we want to try it. Um, if no one says otherwise, I think I'm going to keep it as is. Tweaking ripple effect. Looks good to me. I like it. All right, so we will push that, and as long as that's. Oof. Oh no, our combined flow use case PR still failed. Oh, because code coverage decreased, but I'm gonna. Oh, whatever. That's fine. but it passed. Okay, so both of these PRs will get merged following the stream. Um, now that once this is pushed, we can switch over. I will see if we can find someone to raid tonight, so don't leave yet.